Hi, everybody. Welcome to H&D Abroad. I'm Herman.
I'm Dee, and we want to welcome you to the next section of our Money 2024 Money Goals series. We've been talking about wealth building. We've been um, talking about just what's going to get us out the door around paid and unpaid debt and savings and the 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 earnings that we need since we're not retired that will help us in the move abroad process. But I was like, let's go a little bit wider. Let's go a little bit wider with this conversation because I think the relationship with money, how do you relate with money? What do you historically do you bring to the table influence how you feel when you are spending money or choosing to save money, what your investing tolerance is or risk tolerance is when we're thinking about what are we going to do with our money, how confident we are in moving forward, what will bring us peace. So we're so glad to see everybody in the chat today. Thank you. Thank you.
Before we do all that, let's give you a full introduction of who we are.
Absolutely. If you're new here, welcome. If you're joining us in the future, thank you to what we call the Replay Gang.
Absolutely. So here on H&D Abroad, we like to share. Our goal is to share our journey as aspiring expats as we strive to find out where we're going to land. We're narrowing it down. We're getting closer and closer. We're getting closer to our announcement. So the anticipation is, we're holding on to you. We're holding on to you. But in this process, we want to help Black couples in particular see moving abroad as a plan A for generational wealth, to improve the opportunities for generational wealth and a healthier lifestyle. We aren't just about couples. We are for everybody. And because this journey is a community process, we are a community channel. We grow through the experiences we have. Every week we go live, every Saturday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we are just enjoying this opportunity. We got so many things to share with you. We are on a house sit.
We are on a house sit.
We are out and about.
Yes.
This is our first house sit together. We've been here now a little over a week.
Yep.
She let me come. So we are here enjoying this house sit together. So no, these are not our walls. So don't come looking for us.
Let's see. So just a couple of announcements before we bring on Black Women Build Wealth. We have opened some new opportunities for our community. So you can go in now, right in the bio of our YouTube channel and see those opportunities. We have one-on-one consultations. Woo! We have the opportunity for you to join our Patreon community, which is a big deal for us. We are carving out time to really continue to grow and nourish our community and be nourished by our community. So, and then this week we'll be dropping the first of the downloads that we're working on that are going to help you when you're working with us or as you are considering what your travel or move abroad journey could be like. And some cheat sheets, some resource guides, that's what we're working on. So we're really glad to be able to offer those things to you. But most of all, it is the collaboration that we have with some folks that this is their wheelhouse. Wealth building is their wheelhouse. Trust me, I know how to be broke. I know how to be broke.
We got that on lock.
But we also know how to tool up and use the skills that we've had to address within ourselves
Mhm.
and then confront, with our partnership as a couple,
Mhm.
like, why you do that?
Oh, why don't you?
Exactly. So I'm glad when Samira said, yes, I will join and talk to you all about money personalities. And I have benefited from her channel. And I have actually been a guest on Black Women Build Wealth. We went deep, girl.
Yes.
So if you'll just give us an opportunity to, in our audience, an opportunity to share, what do you do, how you do it, and where are you on the socials?
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Ermin and Dee. I feel like honored to be here today, to be, here with you on the other side. Usually I'm, in the chat and also, talking with the rest of the community here. So I'm super happy to be here. So yeah, my name is Semirath. I also go by Sam, and my channel is Black Women Build Wealth. And so it's all about me helping Black women building wealth. Oh, sorry. Okay, I know what happened. Sorry about that. And so I help Black women build wealth mainly by helping them start investing or making sure that they're investing in line with their values. So usually, before we even get to investing, we need to address other things like paying down debt or saving or even making more money. And so we have conversations about pretty much everything and anything about money. And so I love talking about money, and that's something that I feel like we can all benefit more of in the Black community, making it less taboo because it's a tool that we can all use to improve our lives. And I'm also a mother of three beautiful kids that I'm raising by myself as a single mother by choice. So I do also coach women in general who are looking at starting their family by themselves because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of planning, but it's also possible. And the last thing is also that I also coach women who would like to go abroad to give birth to also prepare for that because it's also something that can take a lot of time and money. So I also do that uh, as part of my coaching.
Wow. I, all I know is what I have experienced on your channel is that you get it. Like, you understand the push and pull, the reality of I have to prioritize. I have to see my goal and balance it with the demands that I have for myself, that my family has expectations for me, and how to really get in the weeds with, if I'm going to accomplish my goals, then I need to be able to say yes to certain things and no, um, and no to others. And just hearing you on Stephanie Perry's channel, I mean, just we've all gotten to know you better. So I want to start with, why do you begin your conversations around money personality? How do you see it show up um, when you are preparing uh, someone to engage the wealth building conversation?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, I don't even tell my customers that let's figure out your money personality because people automatically they freeze. They're like, "What do you mean?" And so nobody wants to be put in a box. And so usually it's really me just having conversation with them and asking questions. I'm really trying to determine their relationship with money, how they see money. Do they see money as something that, is it a scarcity mindset? Is it an abundance mindset? Do they see money as, you know, and like, the devil, or like, is it money is gonna help them achieve their dreams? Do they see that they can make more money? Like, so really to determine where they actually are at in terms of their relationship with money, because we don't really realize it, but at the end of the day, it's a little bit like the love languages, where like, there is a certain way that you like to be showed care and love, and sometimes you don't realize it until maybe after a few relationships, you're like, actually, I like for you to give me flowers, even if it costs a lot of money, because that's what I like, right? So I like to be given gifts. And the same thing also when it comes to money. Some people just like to, let's say, save the money. They just want to save the money, see the money grow, because for them, that's what makes them comfortable. They don't really like to spend money. They don't understand why people are paying interest or getting into debt to start with. Like, it just doesn't make sense for them. And so even when you look at someone like that, even someone who saves the money can have hard time investing, because investing means you can see your investment go up or go down, and they don't want to see their money go down. They just want to see their money go up. And so I need to be able to have those very soft conversations with my customers before we even get into investing or whatnot, because I need to understand them, where they're coming from. And sometimes I realize that, sometimes people come, they just want to do 1 hour coaching, but in our conversation after the 1 hour, we haven't even got into the whole investing, because there's just so much to unpack. And so people also realize it. And most of the time, they have never had that kind of level of conversation about money with anyone, not even with their partner, not even with their parents. They never really had that opportunity to sit and talk about their money that way. And so I just want to make sure that when we get into the investing, I don't want you to start investing and then 3 years down the road, you're not investing anymore because you just haven't done the work. So it's really me trying to really understand the customer, or like, the people that I'm talking to really understand their money personality, the grand scheme of thing. And sometimes they don't, I can't really figure it out, and that's fine. Or sometimes they have like two that I feel like they're more of, and that makes sense. That can also make sense. But it just gives me a bit of clues to really help them. Yeah.
Okay, so getting into the personal, how did you get into investing?
You know what? I think it's from my first job that I actually got from after I finished university. So I did the whole undergrad and graduate, and when I finished, I was just like, oh, I'm such a cool, I have 2 degrees. People will be, just like uh, following me and offering me jobs, but that did not happen like that. So
I thought I was the only one.
No, it's
I
not
really
only.
thought the heavens would open. We have been waiting on you to get a degree.
I actually thought that people would just be sending me a position even before I graduate from I finished my master's, and that never happened like that. So it took me like 6 months to find a job, and I ended up getting some customer customer service position in a call center at a bank. I just needed a job at that point because I had bills to pay. And honestly, I think that's where I learned the most about money. And so that's why I tell even young people today, I know you want to get the 80K or 100K right after university, but you might get the 40 or 50K and learn a ton from it and be set for life. Because I really think that's what really helped me, because I was receiving up to like 100 calls a day from various people with various financial situations. And I could see, someone making $50,000, having $500,000 in investment. And I'm like, how is that possible? And seeing someone who's making $200,000 and they're just like calling to consolidate their debt every 6 months or 1 year. And you're just like, what are you guys doing with your money? And so that really, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I need to find a way to be on the side of people who are building wealth, because those people making $200,000 and living paycheck to paycheck, and consolidating their debt every 6 months to 1 year, that's not really the key to it. And so, and I just got into a rabbit hole from there. I started reading a lot of books. I read a lot. I used to read a ton of financial books. So I read a lot of financial book at the time. And then I realized that's really the first and easy way for me to multiply my money was investing in the stock market. There's different type of investment you can do, real estate investing, all of that, but the stock market really seems appealing to me. And at the time, my bank, the bank that I was working for, was matching. So if I was investing, I think 6%, they were matching 6% as well. So I was like investing, the maximum I could, and they were matching. So I really took advantage of as much as things that I could actually got when it comes to investment. That's really what helped me because, I've been investing for over 15 years now. I reached close 5 last year, and I'm not gonna say that, it went by fast, right? It went by fast, and now I'm just like, oh, it feels good. It really feels good to be, so young at that point because, my retirement is all set. At this point, I just need to let my investment continue doing whatever they have been doing, without even adding anything to it. And so I want more Black women to do that. To do that, we don't have to be absolutely working hard for our money. We can find a way to just multiply our money and just be consistent with it for just like 10, 15, maybe 20 years, and then just like maybe take the foot off the pedal at that point.
What I think I'm hearing is, I see Agent Grateful in the chat talking about young people. I don't think that, I think the sooner you get to the reality of what money is, if you're confronted with this is how much I'm making and this is all I get for it, or it goes farther when you don't have responsibilities, like you live at home. And then when you do have responsibilities, now you have to put your money in a box. It goes in a box instead of just, if I have something left over, then maybe I'll save it, maybe. And so I think one thing for us when we were looking at, paying down debt was like, what's actually coming in the door. We had to, I feel like everybody has to be confronted with levels of reality. And one is what's actually coming in and what's actually going out before you can really make any other financial decisions. I think I've also heard Adelia talking about, Picky Girl Travels the World, talking about, look, I mean, some of what we're doing to create the opportunities for money for investing, money for saving, is reducing how much we spend. But there's only, that ceiling only goes but so low. So when you're talking about wealth building in general, like what's the push pull that you're helping people to kind of come up close to that reality?
So, like you mentioned, there's just so much you can cut your expenses. At the end of the day, you need to live somewhere, you need to eat, you need to pay for transportation. So yeah, we will look at, so it all depends, right? Sometimes people, they come and they have that money available to invest. They just don't know how to go about it. And sometimes people will come and they'll be like, well, I never have anything left after all of my bills are paid. And so that's where I'm like, okay, well, let's pull up, the past 3 months or the past 6 months, bank statements, and let's look at things. And that's really where I can really see I can have a better idea of their money profile, because when you go to that and you're like, oh, well, what happened to this expense? Oh no, I was just going to the mall and I saw this amazing sale. I wasn't planning on buying it, but the sale was so amazing that I bought it. And so when you get that kind of answer 10 times, you're like, okay, well, this is someone who's more of a spender. So that's why, you don't really have the money for investing, and they just don't realize it. But just by doing that exercise, they're like, yeah, I already gave you that answer. Well, it's the same answer at this point, because that's just what it is. So yes, we can work on just making sure that, essentially people are more aware of those expenses. The idea is not for them to not make the expenses at all. We still need to buy clothing and all of those things, but it's just like find a way for them to be aware of what triggers them to make those kind of expenses, so then they're aware of it. And if it's you being in a certain like location, then then you don't go to that location. Like for me, when I go into the grocery store, I really have hard time sticking to my list. I don't know what it is. I just have hard time sticking to my list. So listen, I order my groceries online. I know I'm paying a higher price. I know I have to pay service fee and I have to give tip to the person delivering. Thank you for someone delivering it. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm still paying way less than if I go in by myself. First of all, I spend too much time in there and I end up buying a lot of things that I don't have any business buying. So once you know yourself, it's much better for you to just like control it. So there's just so much you can cut on in expenses. But one thing that I really want people to keep in mind is also how you can also increase your income, right? Because that is exponential. There is no limit to that. You can increase your income, and definitely. And so sometimes people don't realize also that there might be the case for them to actually find something to do, either get a better job, side hustle, whatever you need to do to have that money to invest. Because at the end of the day, you need to create that gap between your expenses and your income and grow that gap so you can have more money to invest. There is no way that you will be able to have that money available if your expenses are always more than your income. That's not going to happen. All right.
So I'm going to ask, because if he asks, there's going to be the rocks will fly out. Where are women most attracted to spending without thinking? Where do you feel like women, because when you said the grocery store is my thing because I'm thinking through the cabinets. When I go in the grocery store, I'm saying, okay, we were low on this, we were low on that. Even though I come with the list, I'm reminded of, because I tend to go through the cabinets, try to go through the refrigerator, the pantry, just to see what we have. And, so that I can restock the things that I use regularly. But the grocery store budget, the counsel we got was whatever you set for your budget for food, double it, because you're just never going to hit that. And we started saying, I will buy grocery, but if we ate out, that came out of the grocery budget. And quickly, I was like, oh, this cannot happen. Because, when you go to eat, I was like, do you know how many bags of chips, loaves of bread we just ate at this restaurant? It wasn't sustainable. So the reality, I think, for me, I'm not necessarily the spender that will go out and buy, I used to be. But I would, the other area, I guess I should say, the other spending area is I go to thrift stores. So I go, it's not as expensive as going to the store, but it still stacks up. So where do you feel like you see from the female side where we should be paying attention, I guess I should say?
Yeah. Well, you said it first, grocery store. Like, women would tend to be the one doing the groceries most of the time. Just that's what it is. Just sometimes, most of the time. So for a lot of us, this is our happy place, right? So we get stuff there for our family. So we'll tend to find a reason to not stick to the list and be like, oh, the kids love this, and my husband will love this. I wasn't on the list, but it's on special. I just can't pass it by. And then you come back home and you're so excited and you tell your husband, guess what? I found those amazing chips that you love. They were not on the list, and but they were on sale. And so, but if you get to have a husband who's more of I don't know, like a saver, is be like, well, yes, thank you, but that was not on the list. So just that could also, trigger some sort of, argument, because you think that you're doing the right thing, as someone who's like, doing the groceries, and maybe you're not that much of a saver, but you're more of a spender. And then you're like, and your husband is like, well, thank you, but honestly, that wasn't on the list. And, maybe I'm trying to lose weight at this point, so I don't need those chips. So it's a whole thing. So for us, definitely women grocery store to start with. And then everything that has to do with personal care, whether it is our hair, our nails, makeup, those type. And very rarely you will find women from my usually when I consult with people will tend to have like 4 or 5 brands for the same type of product. Like, why do you need to have 4 or 5 brands for, let's say, your body lotion? So they'll be like, oh no, I need a special one at night and one during the day. And especially for us living in 4 seasons, you need one during summer and a different one during winter.
It's
Listen,
true.
it kills your budget. It's gonna kill your budget.
You're causing me anxiety right now. You know that, right?
It's like black shoes. He was like, why do you have 6 black shoes? I was like, I have black heels, I have black flats, I have black boots, I have black because these, when I was wearing patent leather heels, you have to have because it's a different style.
Well, see, I Sam have a different set of approach to the process. I went to academy my whole life, so I was in uniform. So I had very few clothes that weren't my uniforms or my suit for church. So going out and buying clothes, literally, I could go in my closet right now at home and grab all my things over my arm and we can leave. When I shop at the store, I chef shop. And what I mean by that is I either am shopping for what I know I'm going to prepare, or I'm shopping for what we're out of. And these shops I don't want to ever be out of that. So there's going to be one mayonnaise in the cabinet if I shop. And it's the one I'm using. She got mayonnaise in the store, and
because they won't tell us when the mayonnaise is out. So I have to have a backup, and I require when you pull that, you tell me so that I can replace it.
But see, when I go to the store because I'm shopping for what I'm going to get. And so the approach is different. Now, mind you, if I'm in stores that I like, so like I shop at big box stores, I almost named them. I stop at big box stores because half the time I don't want what they got in there. But like if I go to my favorite grocers, like a Publix or something like that, and they got to buy one, get one free, that's where I get messed up. And that's why I have to buy one thing at a time. So I want to let you answer this question because I think it ties into that. Agent Grateful is asking, how do you control impulse purchases? As your money grows, it's easier to impulse spend because you got it. That's something I think I fall into.
So that will be in line with the spender money personality, because the spender, that's like impulsive, like wow. And sometimes it's not even for them. It could be like a gift. And so they get really the rush from just buying something. So it's like the impulse. So I just found something, I'm buying it. And so how do you control that? When you know yourself, it's much easier. If you're going to go to the mall and you know that essentially it's really difficult for you to walk through that mall without buying anything, based on your past history with that particular mall, in that case, don't go with your wallet. Don't go with your card. Or maybe go just with cash. If that's, you're like, I'm going with $20. So I know that's, anything that I want to buy, if that falls into the $20, and you know that if you spend that $20, you're completely fine with it. It's almost like when you go to the casino. Go with $100. Don't go with your card. Just go with $100 or whatever amount, if you play. But just so then, essentially that you're not going to feel like, oh my God, what did I do? Because when you do something impulsively, you always tend to, most of the time, from what I've seen, people will have buyer remorse. They will always have, maybe I shouldn't have bought that much. Even if that was gifts, they end up buying so many gifts. So usually, spenders, they're very generous. Like, if you have someone who's a spender in your life, stay close. Like, that person, it's like, oh, well, I was just shopping, I bought something for me. Even if they want to buy something is not their size, if they know anyone who fit within that size, they'll get it for that person. So that's that. And one thing that also I usually recommend to people, especially when they're impulsive, is to do no spend month or no spend week. And so that's very good, because then you're really restricting yourself. I don't really like to use the word restrictive, but it's just like you're more mindful. it really helps you to be more mindful of your expenses, because when you do a no spend, you know that essentially your expenses should only be your necessities. So anything that has to do with buying shoes, buying clothing, none of that will be usually, you know, bought during your no spend. So even if you do no spend every other month, that really helps you reset. So that's so honestly, for someone who's impulsive, know your triggers, and not everybody has the same triggers. Like, you know, I can go to Target and not buy anything.
What?
Yes.
You are an anomaly.
No,
Me
you know
too.
what? I'm gonna tell you. Target came to
It
Canada.
takes
I'm in
a lot
Canada.
of strength
Yes, but wait.
because the
Target.
clearance area will turn. It will turn me out. And it's only because we are super focused on this goal of leaving. And I go, why buy that? I can't take it with me. And I think
That's
that
good.
because we've tied those two things together, it's really helping me to pull back on the, you know, what I would consider be kind of the periphery purchases that I make. I want to say something for those of us who might consider ourselves or fit in the category of impulsive. When we were paying down that huge six-figure student loan debt, there's a lot of downward pressure.
Mhm.
If you are leaning out of your money personality and you're trying to lean into what will help you get to your goal, sometimes I feel like you're trying to turn off a spigot and you've got this water that's backing up. And so when we came out of that, I mean, extreme 12 to 14 months of doubling down on, do we really need to buy that? We don't buy that anymore. You know, it was nice to go to the grocery store and say, I just put it in the buggy. I don't add it up. I just go and I swipe. And I mean, it's like I swung from this super saver because I needed to, but after I hit my goal, I didn't have anything else and so I felt like I swung more to this, the impulsive mindset. What's bringing me back from, either I'm indifferent or that felt so I felt so deprived from the ability to spend that I was just like, I've got to create so I've got to pull in some of that spending spirit again to balance it out. Does that make sense to anybody? Because
it's the
it just
diet.
feels so, yes, it's the diet mentality.
Mentality. You know, I'm not doing. Okay, I reached my diet goal, and now I'm back to it. The lifestyle change hasn't happened. It's just you've created a I can't. I tell people who are changing their eating lifestyle, don't restrict yourself from the things that you desire. You change how often you eat them or how you eat them. You can when we started my business, my culinary business, people say, "Oh, you're not using this fat, and you're not using that oil, you're not using." I was like, "No." I was like, "Tell me if it tastes different." I was like, "It doesn't taste different." I was like, "Because it's not different. You got your mindset on having a ham hock in the middle of the greens, and all I'm using is liquid smoke." You have to make a lifestyle change. So one of the things we tried to do also was, hey, we still get a movie every once in a while. Hey, we still get to go to dinner every once in a while. It was hard because, you know, then you're dealing with the guilt. Should we be spending this money? But it's like, if we don't, then we're going to get to the other side and we're going to go crazy. We celebrate a Thanksgiving-like meal once a quarter, so that when we get to Thanksgiving, we're not overeating on turkey and macaroni and cheese and dressing, because, you know, it kind of balances out. I've had it. I didn't wait 12 months for it to get here. Yeah. And so finding that balance, Ellen says here, Elle says, I control impulse purchases by reminding myself how many hours I had to work.
Baby, yes. I'm telling you,
that's a big deal.
Yes.
That's how hard did I work to get here for this?
Yeah. And actually, that's that's something that is recommended. I don't know. There is the book Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robbins, and she really tells you in the book how to actually calculate, let's say your hourly, because once you remove the taxes, the deductions, how much transportation costs you, then you come, let's say you'll be like, okay, so really I make $15 an hour. So if you were to buy something that is like, let's say $40, so you're like, okay, so this is actually worth 3 hours and so, sorry, 2 hours and so of my time. And then you're like, okay, well, if I had to work 2 hours to get this, would I do it? But then, again, that really requires you to stop in the moment, really be mindful of it, because like I said, it's really easy to just swipe the card and be done with it. So people who are impulsive, usually what we do is like they most of the time I would suggest them to go to cash system. So if we're working over 3 months, 6 months, that's something that I will really strongly suggest to them. Other than their utilities and rent and mortgages, but like groceries, all of those things that they usually swipe the card for. You determine how much you think that you will need for the month, and then you withdraw that money from your bank account. You keep it in your cash envelope, and that's what you work with toward, through the month. So if that envelope is empty, the 20th day, well, I guess that's what it is, except if you want to use the money from another envelope. So that really helps you to just control your impulse spending also that way. The other thing is also what we work on is the goal, the vision. Why are we doing this, right? So if we're doing this so you can start investing, then you need to have that in your forefront. What is your why? What exactly? Because the idea is not for you to restrict yourself just for the sake of restricting yourself, but it's like, if you can do this, you know that in 6 months you're going to have $5,000 that you can start investing with. And so it's much worth, you can keep your eyes on the goal, and it's much easier for people to stick with it that way, because sometimes why wouldn't I spend, right? So if I can spend, I'll spend. But when you have the goal in mind and you keep the goal in mind, it's much easier to stick with the plan. Yeah.
Both Aileen Brown and Nikki and David said some things, and I'm going to play them back to back because I think it ties in. Aileen said, I'm so used to buying in bulk that it's hard to turn it off now. There's only 2 people of us instead of 6. And Nikki and David said that they've just moved to Mazatlan, and they're going out and eating because in the reprogramming is the word I want to tie in. It's sometimes it's about the shift in where we are in life.
Yeah.
I've said before in one of our lives that you got to be prepared to shift your budget in 2 different ways, up and down, depending on where you are and what your needs are. Sometimes we leave our budget the same and we don't build in the new challenges in either direction, or the lack of challenges. If all 12 of your kids move out, you don't need to buy at Sam's anymore. You can buy at the local store. Because you don't need 90 rolls of toilet paper anymore. You only got
and hearing you, Semirath, talk about my kids are getting ready to go to school, baby, my heart, all of our hearts go out to you. Getting ready for the clothes and all the things that teachers ask you as a parent to provide for the classroom and for your children. It definitely takes an adjustment. Saving is a muscle. And I think a lot of times there was a cartoon where, someone had, spending on one arm and saving on the other. And like the saving was this like they had muscles from their knuckles all the way up to their neck, but it was only on one side. And so, how can I create balance if I feel like I'm coming from a personality that worries about money, and that is, there is a place for concern. It is what should drive us to sustainable solutions that helps us to live a balanced life. But it's really easy for me as the wife to just burrow down in the worry, because there's a lot that I'm looking at, my personality has my general personality, is always looking at risk assessment. And so, trying to manage life risk, but the worry around money as we face things like inflation. But then the other side of me will swing to what, and I'm referencing in the personality types that I'm sharing is from Ronald J. Banks. He did a video on the 7 personality types. I'm going to have Sam talk about another book that we'll have in the description, but he talks about the moneymaker. So I feel like I swing between the worrier, where it helps me to hyper focus on some areas. And then, okay, then I'm going to open up so many opportunities to make the extra money to be able to quiet the worrier in me. And I don't think that either side of that can be really healthy. They're feeding, it's a chaos cycle that I think is not sustainable and is unhealthy for me as a Black woman. Can you talk about how to interrupt some of these poorer money cycles that we can get in?
Which ties into Aileen's question here. How do you bring someone with a treat yourself mentality over to a saver mentality?
Yeah.
So one thing about personality, at least money personality. So from the time we're young, we exposed to money in some way, shape, or form. Like, depending on, if our parents are talking about it, in which environment. So usually people so the idea is like you have, I'll say 50% of your money personality, which is determined by, let's say, your childhood or who you are. Then there's some people, they just like to spend, like that's what it is. They just like to spend. And then the other 50%, which is more your environment, and essentially, I guess the whole learning that you do by yourself. So there's no really, to your point and Eileen's point, there is no bad personality. There's not a percent that is bad. The reality is you just need to know who you are, what triggers you, what is your relation with money, so you can identify those situations when they happen, and then you will have in your toolbox how you're going to address it. So someone who likes to treat themselves, there's nothing wrong with treating themselves. We need to be able to treat ourselves. If the issue becomes an issue if that's the only thing you want to do all the time, overpaying your bills, paying your rent, saving money for your kids and whatnot. There is nothing wrong with someone who likes to save. It's good. But if the only thing you want to do is save, that means that it's really hard for you to have some spontaneity. It's really hard for your partner to come and be like, I just booked a weekend at this spa retreat. You'd be like, yeah, but how much is it? That in itself will just cause you anxiety over the fun, the memory, the all of that. So you like you say, you really have to find a balance. No personality is bad in itself, but it's just you need to be able to say, okay, in terms of saving, what are we saving for? Because someone who's a saver, they just want to save. They just want their bank account to be going. They don't even know what's the goal. I just want my money to be going up and up. So then you need to come up and be like, okay, what are we saving for? Okay, we're saving for a car. How much is the car? 20K? Okay, so we're gonna save all the way to 20K. Then we know we save that money. So then whatever comes after, then you can either redirect the money, or then that's kind of like your money that you can start having fun with. But you can't be just in the mindset of saving all the time. When it comes, same thing with treating yourself. So I will not, I will discourage, trying to change someone in a way that, changing them from treating themselves to them becoming savers. That's not going to happen. Or they may do it for a little while, but they're just going to revert to who they are because that's who they are. So it's all about just really finding a way to communicate, making sure, especially when it's in an environment of partnership, relationship, it's really important to sit together and having common goals, especially if you're not the same money personality, to really making sure that you're all on the same page. And so and allow the other person to be themselves. So even if you need to save for a certain goal, you cannot prevent someone who's a spender to not spend at all just because you want to reach a certain goal. You need to give them a little bit of a breathing room. If not, they're gonna feel really, they're not gonna feel happy with the process. And so, there's just so much. Although I love to talk about money, there's a lot of things that are more important than money, and relationship is one thing. So, you just have to find a way to balance it out and really making sure that essentially you're not sacrificing your relationship over money, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Nikki and David are saying here, you got to give yourself grace. It is a
100%.
learning process. You have to be able to say, okay, we made this decision. We bumped our heads this month. I mean, this house sit. This house sit is a financial challenge. What were we investing in? So we're trying to invest in some time here together. And we have to readjust how we look at the money for these next 6 weeks or however much time it is, because we're doing it different. And that's a conversation we're having to constantly have, because it's a thing. It's real. It's in the middle of a decision. What's the bigger effort? So you have the obvious spenders and savers.
Yes.
Those are obvious. We know those exist. Nobody's afraid that they exist. What else? How else do you?
So the 5 money personalities is the other book we're going to put in the description. This is a book by Scott and Bethany Palmer.
Yes.
Let's talk through what are the money personality types.
What are the other personality types?
How can you find yourself in this money personality conversation? So,
as Ermin just alluded to, saver and spender, those are the ones that people usually will know the most. Then you have the risk taker. So the risk taker is usually someone they like, as soon as they see a good opportunity, a good deal, they need to go for it, right? So that'll be someone who will go to the grocery store to purchase some stuff for the house, and will come back and be like, listen, I run into, I ran into John at the grocery store, who's the realtor, and he told me about this amazing deal. It's in a condo building. They're great. So we purchased a condo. And you're like, excuse me, you went to the grocery store and you came back with purchased a condo? Just because they felt like it was a great deal. So the risk taker, they will tend to really be, they go with the gut. They make their decision.
How are they different from the spender, the impulsive person? How are they different or the same?
So essentially, those personalities it's really where you have primary and secondary, right? So you can't be exactly one. So usually you have what is your primary tendency and then your secondary tendency. Gotcha. However, the difference between the main difference between the risk taker and the impulsive, the spender. Definitely, you can see the impulsiveness here. However, the risk taker will usually be someone who's making a decision about something that is supposed to bring some money. So it could be, like I say, investing in real estate, or like buying some other assets that eventually that they think that it will be beneficial for the family, versus someone who's a spender. They're just buying a pair of jeans, a pair of shoes. None of that is really of any value at the end of the day. They just get the buzz of buying because they just like the rush of it, but then that's it. So the risk taker is most of the time someone who's like, they just love to take chances. So usually like business owners, or like someone who's really very independent in the way they operate, and they like to try different things, essentially. So that's the risk taker. You also have the flyer. And so the flyer, believe it or not, is someone they don't really care about money. They're not concerned about money. They're just like, so that'll be the type of person in a relationship, whatever you want, honey. You want to go next week to Bahamas? Let's go. You want to do this? For them, the most important is building a relationship, building the memories. And so that's not really so they'll tend to not be so much concerned about money. They don't really look at the budget or anything like that.
Mhm.
And so if you're in a relationship with someone like that, it's good up to a certain point, because usually they're not going to be really the one who are going to be coming to you to talk about money. You'll need to go to them all the time, and maybe you'll be the one telling them, budget is not working, we need to change things. And so they don't really like to be bothered by that. So that could be a bit of an issue, depending of who they're who what type of money personality is
Right.
the other person. So that's really the flyer. And then the last one is so we talk about the risk taker, the flyer. The last one is the security seeker. So security seeker, those are like planners. They're like, before they make any decision, they need to look at all of the different points, making sure that essentially they look at all the alternatives, and before they make the decision, they want to make sure that essentially they have looked at everything. So very rarely that they will buy something impulsively. They'll need to look at different stores, who's having sales, not having sales. So it's good in a way, because when they make the decision, that this person has looked at all of the possibilities. The only thing is, like, usually they tend to be caught in analysis paralysis. And so even me, when I do consultation with people, I can even say that, because when we talk about investment, they're asking questions, and sometimes they ask the same question, and I'm like, okay. And that's not because they're not paying attention. It's just like, for them, it's going to take time. They just need to wrap their head around it and think about it, and all that, which is fine. But with people who are security seeker, you will need to put like timeline almost. Okay, we are thinking about this until a certain time, right? We're not going to be thinking about buying the car for 10 years. We need to come up with some decision. So 3 months, we're looking at, what type of car, is it used, is it new, what is the make, model, and then we make decision in 3 months. And so that really helped them to wrap their, okay, this is what we're doing. So so just to go back to what I just mentioned, people will tend to have primary and secondary. And also personality will tend to also change as we evolve in our life, depending on what we're going through. Because, your money personality when you're like single, no kids, you're renting, will probably be different than, when you're actually married with like 3 kids and you have a house and you have a car. It will probably be different, and that's perfectly fine. Again, that's why it's really fluid. It's something that is very fluid, but it's really important to be aware of that. But again, it does change, but I'll say 50% of that is still something that is ingrained in you. So someone who's a spender, yes, that will be their primary. Their secondary could be something else, but then the primary that is spender, they need to keep that in mind, and they need to be able to know their triggers, so then they don't get into any trouble, essentially, with like buying things that they have no business buying.
I'm going to say something.
Oh,
Oh.
Maybe it's a tell, but I started paying attention to my body. When I'm feeling, I'll give an example. The announcement for the lockdown for COVID comes, and it triggers my we need to have enough. I don't know when we're going to get out again. I don't know. So we shop at the big box stores, and toilet paper was in scarcity. I'm trying to figure all of it out, and because we had some stuff at home, we were able to, kind of figure things out. I went back to the big box stores maybe a month or so later, and we had to stand in line to get in. And right there at the door were these big stacks of toilet paper, paper towels. Like my chest, I could feel my heart racing. I could feel my breath short. When I'm waiting to find out if I want to bid on the auction website, I'm trying not to say the names, and I can just feel my energy. I could feel sweat. I can feel that fight or flight response being triggered. And what I began to do is to say, you are safe. You're not in any danger. You have what you need. I started taking a breath. Y'all, I'm just talking about just navigating the way some of my triggers, when they show up, how I was just like, okay, then I need to walk away for 10 minutes. If I still want and see that I need this, when I come back to it, then that indicates that I really need it, and that I'm not operating in a scarcity or an impulse that, like, I think it was Brown Girls Invest Too. Just like, marketers know how to create through sound, through visual, through word triggers, how to touch those sensitive parts of you to activate that purchase action. And so you should, as much as they are a detective of you, you need to be a detective of yourself. If you know Christmas time is your trigger because family, and I've had, grief or loss, prepare for that. Buffer yourself with, instead of spending, I need to do something that really touches this need to connect, for connection.
What I appreciate, Sam, is that you said most of us have a primary, but then there are secondaries. As behavioral scientists by training, one of the things that we know is people will classify themselves in the psychological terms. I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I'm melancholy, I'm whatever. And they don't recognize that they aren't truly those things. Most people are not truly those things, because those terms are people who are at the extremes ends of psychological challenges. Most people are not spenders to the point of excess, to the point of waste, to the point of destruction of our home, but we bring damage.
And there are personality disorders that really,
Correct.
I'm not just a spender, but there's a psychological term that really, I need some assistance.
There's a connection to some history point, to some behavior of our past, to the behavior of our family. I consider D to be our financial regulator, not because I'm a spender, but because I have to make a habit of look at the resources, look at where we are. I'll tell you, I'll be in line, having checked all the bags through the scanner, and I'll be like, what's in the bank for real? And I'll stop and be like, I can't have this. Y'all need to take this off, because I don't always remember in the process, because I'm going, what do we need? What do we need / want? And so I've gotten to the point now, before we get in the line, what's in this buggy we won't potentially need? What's unnecessary? Because it's easy to just throw it in the buggy. And I think sometimes for us, we just go through and throw it in the buggy. And then we back up and say, now, let's be responsible about this. Do we need this much? Do we need this right now? Can this wait until the next financial cycle? We have those conversations, which allows us to say, I can put this back on the shelf with no guilt. I can put this, we were in there standing in front of the cookie aisle going, our fat hips don't need none of these cookies. You can make those shifts, rather than getting all the way home and going, I didn't get, or why did I buy? And making those shifts and recognizing if you open yourself up to the recognition that at various times, due to various stressors and traumas and situations in your life, you can be in a number of different personality traits, a different number of spending behaviors. I've never considered Dee a spender, but she says it's in there. So I respect that. And I've always respected that. And so I have conversations with her as if she's a spender, not because she's spendy. Is this a trigger for you? Is this a problem for you? You know, what do you buy? So we set up early in our marriage. Anything up to this point that we buy that's within the budget, that doesn't blow us over, you're okay to buy. Anything over this price point has to be a discussion.
That's good.
And we have raised and lowered that threshold based on what is going on in our lives, what are we struggling with. Sometimes not how much money has changed, but what kind of stresses we have in our lives. Kind of like comfort eating. We don't buy snacks during stressful times because we're going to stress eat snacks. And then we're going to be upset because we stress ate snacks. You know, it's that broad level of mixing through conversations, because otherwise you're saying, I'm this. And when you're saying I'm this, then you're not prepared for all the variations that come off of that then blow you up, and you're going, I don't understand why I did that. That's not my thing. That's not my style. Why do I have this? I don't even remember buying this, or, you know, I don't remember why I gave all this away. Yeah, you told me to give it away. you told me to buy those nine chickens off the Sam's rack, even though it's only 2 of us here. So
you also introduced another resource that I want to make sure we bring forward, is Your Money or Your Life.
By Vicki Robbins and Joe. It's 2 authors, but definitely by Vicki Robbins. Your Money or Your Life. Amazing book. I strongly recommend it for anyone who's definitely, into the whole financial freedom journey. It really helped me to get a better grasp of my relationship with money, and how if I'm not going to be controlling that, someone else is gonna be controlling that for me, and maybe definitely not for my greater good. So it's a great book. It's a very small one, and so I strongly suggest that to your audience if that's something that they want to look at.
They're in the comments. I'm trying to throw a few of them there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, certain colors, positions in the stores, designed to make you spend.
If you it used to be on Netflix. I'll have to go back and see. But yeah, I mean, when you look at how much data, that is why your footprint on social media is so valuable. They are tracking. When are you looking? When are you, when someone says, I was just talking about that, I went to my phone, I went to my laptop, I typed in this letter, and what I was just talking about came up. That level of data, marketers are a student of you.
Yeah.
And learning how to be a student of yourself. So when we're talking about the money personality, what tools are you encouraging people? And we've talked about one tool on our channel where what I'm asking you to do is, what tools can people have that will give them that reality check? One that we use is, because it popped up today, you need to, the Every Dollar app.
Oh yeah.
Because both of us, we set the budget, but when he goes into the store, he's responsible at the checkout to give a total so that it reduces.
Yeah.
It's based on a zero-based budget. But the other tool just flew out of my head that I wanted to. Oh, I just forgot it. There are 2 tools that I wanted to make sure I brought up. But what tools can we create for self-awareness? that we can start
It
implementing?
depends.
That extra little bit of money's coming.
Well, it depends. It depends exactly on what are we who I'm working with, right? The tool I'm going to suggest to one person will not be the tool that I'm going to suggest to the next person, definitely. But first of all, we need to understand that we're talking a lot about marketing here. The world, like the society, the way it is designed today, is not designed to help us save money and invest. That's not
Mhm.
that's so you need, like, I don't have cable. I don't watch news. I choose the news that I'm reading. I
Mhm.
choose to type in Google what I'm searching. I control what I'm searching. It may happen that I'm talking about something and then I go online and it's showing, but I still decide. So it's really important, because when you have that pushed onto you, it's very difficult to resist. It's a little bit like when you listen to a song on the radio, you hate the song the first time, the 10th time you listen to it, like, okay, you're singing along because you just like, it's been so long you have heard it. Same thing with marketing. So you need to realize that this definitely, the society right now is not to help you save your money, it's not to help you pay your debt, it's not to help you invest. So you need to make a decision for yourself. And so if I'm working with someone, let's say who's a spender, because I'll say probably the majority of people will usually fall into those two or three categories, like saver, spender, and security seeker. That's what I see the most. Um, so someone who's like a spender, again, it's just a whole impulse buying, impulse doing thing. So we know exactly what is the issue here. So it's essentially, don't use your card, use your cash.
Mhm.
Um, as much as possible. Don't have any too many extracurricular activities. Like, try to refrain from going out too much, because that's where things can really get ugly. And usually when people are like in partner, they have a partner. A tool is communication. People don't communicate enough, even in their relationship, about money. I'm working with someone. I don't have to communicate with anyone. I'm single. But if I'm working with a Black woman and she's in a relationship, for me to make sure that it's going to be successful, she needs to be able to share that with her partner, because her partner may or may not be in line. And there is no way that she's going to be successful at what she wants to do if the partner is not on board. And so it's really important for people to be able to communicate. That's a tool in itself, the communication, where you can choose however you want to do it, but it's very important that that's actually happening. And most of the people will prefer to be with someone with the same profile, but actually like when people are not the same profile, because that's where you can balance each other out, and your strength is the other person weakness, and vice versa, and you build together and you can grow together like that. So yeah, it all depends what we so you mentioned earlier how you were feeling in your body, sometimes when it comes to money, or like different things, and that's a reality. When I read a lot about those things, not only to learn for myself, but also to be able to help people that I coach. And so one thing that people are like, risk taker or like spender. It's it's almost like, I don't know how to say it. It's almost like a drug. When they in front of that thing,
Adrenaline.
or like someone bring the
Mhm.
way it is in their body. It's like, I have to do this. It's almost like they can't pass
Mhm.
by the opportunity. They'll feel like, but then forgetting that there will be another opportunity. There will be another cell on the gene that you're looking. There will be another cell. Those companies will come back next year with the same cell or even better. It's not the end of the world. Or like
Mhm.
someone who likes to save. I even read in one study that people who are like savers and really don't want to let money go tend to have constipation. They tend to be constipated,
Mhm.
because money flows. Money is supposed to flow. It comes and it goes. You can't just be like, it comes, I'm gonna make it, stuck it in this bank account. And so your body also will react to that. So they tend to be constipated. And so when you look at all that, it's just crazy how something external can have so much impact on your
Mhm.
your internal
Physiology.
health.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
it is a real thing. And in the context of us, like moving our lives eventually abroad, we need to be aware of it, because whomever we are here in terms of our relationship with money is who we're going to be essentially wherever we are going. And the reality we are in right now may be very different in our destination. So if we don't learn to control ourselves, to know who we are, where we are at right now, we're not really setting ourselves for success wherever we are going. And so there's already so many factors that you need to control when you're moving abroad. Your relationship to money is something that is very, very, very important, because money, will continue be a huge factor in your life wherever you're actually going. So there are, like I said, different tools, but those are kind of like, like the little thing that I'll tend to see with people. Like, definitely if they have some sort of a money plan in place, especially for spenders and risk takers, it's very important that they have a plan in place and you help them stick to the plan, because for them it's really easy to blow the budget. It's not a problem for them. They'll blow the budget anytime. But you take someone who's a flyer, in a way you feel like a flyer is it's good, because that's someone you feel like they have reached a level of zen with money. Yes and no, because you still need to function with money in a society. So it's really being able, okay, well, a flyer will be someone that I'll be like, okay, you don't want to look at it, then make sure to automate everything in your life. Automate as much as you can, because they don't want to open bills. They don't want to be going in the bank account to pay the bills. That bothers them. They're like,
it sounds like they fall into the enabler category.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Very close to it. Like I say, it's like, they're very like, oh, well, you want to do this, let's do it. Okay, we're not doing it, no problem. Okay, in that case, if you're not going to do it, automate your bills payment, automate your investment, automate as much as you can, so you don't have to be dealing too much with anything that has to do with money. But someone who's like, let's say, a security seeker, a saver, they actually love that. They're not going to be automating that much. They get a rush from going in, making the transfer, the spreadsheet. Exactly.
Yeah. Like this,
they love it.
Life I love the color coding. I love sitting down and saying, "Let me show you. Let me, let's break it all down." Pulling the data from the bank accounts. Like I get the same rush from that, especially when it's trending in the correct direction.
Yeah.
I remembered what I wanted to share. So the envelope system. So we've talked about some of what we did around budgeting, and that was, if we could put anything on 6 months or 12 months, then it doesn't dip into our monthly. It doesn't dip into our every month, expenses that we have to account for. And so when we were able to kind of trim that back, then you can, like you said, then everything else gets on automation. So utility bill, blah, blah, blah. But because I'm doing the spreadsheets, I'm paying attention to, the utility bill went up, it went down based on our behaviors. But something else that you can do either in tandem, or if you don't really want to do the envelope system where you're using money you've created buckets and said, I'm going to spend only this amount and I have cash to do it, is paying attention to how many transactions. And so I think our first, before we even got into the envelope, backed our way into the envelope system, was I saw how many transactions we were making. At one time, we were getting that envelope you get from the bank that details every single debit card transaction. And I was like, oh my gosh, we swiped our cards that many times. I was like, okay, so our goal is to cut this in half. How can we cut it in half? Does that mean I need to have a little bit of cash where I pay certain things with cash? Is this, do I need to make more of these purchases at one time? That grocery store, that's how we figured out we were going to the grocery store. Like Kermit would call me and say, do you need me to pick up anything from the grocery store? And so like when you do that 3, 4, 5 days out of the week, we were like, we're spending so much more than if we went to the grocery store and either, had a list and bought the things we needed or had them delivered to our house, then we're not tempted by the other things in the store.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just monitoring how many transactions we were making, like, gave us the first bit of insight, and then you can drill down at what you're spending on, and then kind of begin to put some parameters on it. So
Yeah.
I feel like learn from our failures.
No, that's a good thing also. I'm also a spreadsheet girl. Like I'm not doing any app because I have my own spreadsheet. But that's the thing. I totally agree with you. To me, I'm like, the fewer transactions I have, the fewer transactions I have to enter in my spreadsheet. So it's almost like I gamify it. I gamify it to myself. I'm like, okay, last month I did 48 transactions in total. Let's see this month if I can do less than that, right? So because at the end of the day, there will always be transaction in there that you're like, okay, I really didn't have to make this purchase. So it's all about mindfulness and just be willing to know yourself and just make the changes that you want to make so you can achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Yeah.
I'm saying thank you from everybody in the chat who has been sharing. If you're massaging this money conversation for the first time, if this is the first time you put a financial mirror, you stood in front of a financial mirror, the goal is to see things you haven't seen before. It's not good or bad. It's just data. It's information that you can use that will help you align. If you're saying, whatever your short-term or your long-term goals are, what is my reality? The closer I come to my reality, then I can shift it to get a sense, then get, a sense or an awareness of it. Then I can find what's the low-hanging fruit. Like, exactly. If taking my lunch is really gonna, help me to move this along, I promise you, it is literally a snowball effect. For those of us who really are like, you mean I can cut this timeline by half by making, and so I'm looking for ways I can cut. I can cut or cut back or cut. I told my son, I said, he works at 312. And I was like, you have good money, you have a good job. I was like, if you got a part-time job during the week that could cover your monthly expenses, then you can max out your 401k with your regular job. Just dump as much, top off all of your tax advantage accounts. I was like, dude, if you do, it's just, you work 3 days because of the profession that he's in, he can make good money. I was like, it just, and that way you've got a push-pull lever. You've got something that confines you because you're only working a few days a week. Operate off that smaller budget, and then use your regular full-time job as a way to fully fund your tax advantage accounts. The other thing that I think helped us as a couple to win is Larry Burkett's book, The Complete Financial Guide for Young Couples. A friend of ours she and her husband got married about 2 years before we did. And she said this was a gift that someone gave them. She was reading it. And I was just like, what is this? And so it was literally, I had never had a document. I didn't know, what is it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, had never heard of it, but I got Larry Burkett's book. And so many couple navigation questions around life insurance, buying a home, those kinds of things were introduced to me with that book. One of the points of advice he said is live on one income. Right. Live on one income. And I cannot tell you, this is our 25th year married.
That is when
The salvation,
Mhm.
financial salvation of taking that one approach. We've had our backs against the wall, but I was just like, just that one piece of advice of that way we really operated, because there were times when he was working and I was home with the kids, or I was working and he was homeschooling. And we were able to do that and still have a house and a car and be able to function within our lives because we made that one decision. So, what I'm finding is, and then you should also find a way to be inspired. So Sam is on every week, is giving awesome content. When we had our jobs, when we were paying down that student loan debt, I was listening to lots of financial websites. When people were doing their debt-free screens,
Yeah.
those were the things I had in my ear. The sticky notes on the mirror talking about how close when I say I love it, I wasn't just putting it on spreadsheets, y'all. We've talked about, I put it on the wall. The debt is this amount. Every pay period, every little bit of money we got in, I was able to subtract and then look at it go down, subtract and look at it go down. And what you can find, what brings you that rush, what brings you that adrenaline, whatever part of this process, there are so many ways when you can surround yourself with people who are doing this shift, social media, podcast, when you're in those circles and those folk can keep you motivated, because trust me, if you're doing something that's a big deal, getting in these spaces and surrounding yourself with good people. So I'm going to say what has recently been inspiring was Sam's Wealthy Black Women Summit. Put it on repeat. So can you talk a little bit about the summit and then the replay opportunities, which I do have also in the description?
Yes, thank you, Dee. So the Wealthy Black Women Summit, it is a summit for Black women who want to build wealth. And so we focus on financial wealth. Our first edition was actually last year in 2023. We will have also one this year as well. I'm already thinking about that. And so to me, I really wanted to have, I guess, some sort of like a place really for Black women to come together and, of course, yes, attend those sessions, but just being able to also interact among each other, because on my YouTube platform, people do leave comments and whatnot, but they don't really have that opportunity to be in the chat together and whatnot, or establish relationship. But also with that summit, I really want to focus on things that I feel like we just don't talk enough of. Definitely in the Black community when it comes to money, and also in relations to being Black women. So the few different things that I'll be focusing on this year that I'm hoping that the audience will like. So definitely, right now we have the replay from for 2023 that is still available until end of February. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, we had amazing speakers. Honestly, I was so happy last year with the outcome, and I so wanted to thank the Exodus Summit ladies. Like, you guys, you were present, and you, like, so many. Aileen was there. Also, Bobby was there. Danica also. Like, it was so. Sandra also got her ticket. It was amazing, and it's good because I got so much feedback on what people like, what people would like to see more of. And to me, that's what it is, right? Because sometimes I have something in mind, but people will come back and be like, that's actually what we want to hear more of. So I think it's important. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. We also have, it's still small right now, but we have also a Facebook group that you can join, the Wealthy Black Women Summit. It's not that active right now because I'm busy and I'm trying to do a few things at the same time, but hopefully it will become a place for the community to exchange on building wealth in general. Yes.
Well, it looks like I have to agree with Dee. You need to add L to that financial coaching, because she's putting it in out here. We'll put her on blast since she's trying to hide over the speech. I'm going to end with a statement by our by our marketing coach, Miss Marilyn.
Oh yes, Marilyn, please,
Marilyn,
like Black Women Build Wealth.
Marilyn, yes. Your check is in the mail.
Go to her channel, subscribe. She's producing weekly live sessions where you can ask more questions. So hit that notification bell, because she is producing more content. You will also get, when she posts on a community page, different offers and opportunities that she's rolling out, and reminders of things that are coming up. So early birds and things like that for the summit that's coming up. Yeah. She also posted information about each of the speakers. So when I say this is why, we have a great community. Get in there, get more information. This was just the taste. This was just an introduction. We also appreciate the likes, the shares, and those who are subscribing to our page as well. It definitely helps to share out, and we've had new subscribers, because when you like this video, it alerts the algorithm that this is content worth sharing. So we appreciate everybody being in. Hey. Okay, so I don't know if it's Jimmy or Rosemary, but I just want to say hey to the Divine Chef as well.
Oh, wow.
We've had them on, but it's been a little while. So I just want to say thank you for everyone, for your comments, for your questions, your insights, sharing with each other. This is a growing community, and we hope that you'll continue to grow with us. Thank you, Semirath.
Always good to have all of our friends in the chat. Absolutely. Sam, it was a pleasure. Hold on for us just a little minute. Everybody, we'll see you again on next week. We are Herman and Dee of H&D Abroad. If you haven't subscribed, you have now. If you haven't liked this video, you did. Please, just now.
Absolutely.
We'll see you soon. Y'all have a great weekend.
Bye for now.